Hello.
Hello.
Hi, this is June Smith call, and we are on a great Zoom call. We're going to have a great conversation with Sheilisa McNeal. This is Art and June, Delicacies of Society, and we are chatting today because I'm so excited to be chomping at the bit with my friend. Um, Sheilisa is a multifaceted individual, businesswoman, writer, artist, creative, all that good stuff. And you guys know how I am. I can't help it. I gotta talk to her. And I think after this conversation, you'll get a chance to really to understand why it is we do the things that we do and the way in which we do it. Because obviously, being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart. Some days you are going to have no money, and some days you're going to have a nice amount of money. Um, and in between that, the climb is real. So, welcome and good afternoon. How are you on this fantastic Friday?
Well, I am great. Thank you so very much for allowing me to be a part of this platform and to share some of my journey. Yes, you're right. It goes from famine to feast, back to famine. But entrepreneurship requires a certain what I'd call a constitution, right? You have to have the wherewithal to be able to weather the ups, the downs, the setbacks and the comebacks, so that you understand that first it's going to be flat and then it's going to escalate, and everybody can't do that. So you're right, it's not for the faint of heart.
It's definitely not. My motto is always like, you have to have multiple streams of income. Because
Yes.
I always feel like, the very first time I ever became an entrepreneur, I was like, oh my God, what did I do? And it was great until it wasn't great anymore. So in my mind, I always think that, but I feel like there's something that happens in the course of life that allows you to begin to rethink and reassess and recalibrate. So tell people who you are, what you do, and then let's just get into it because I introduced you as a writer and entrepreneur. So let's talk a little bit about who Sheilisa McNeal is initially, and let's roll into it all.
Well, so I'm actually new into the distinctions of what I do as opposed to who I am, right?
Absolutely.
And so who I am is, gosh, I am a mother, I am a daughter of Christ, I am a lover of people, I am here to add value to the lives of people I get to come across. I am here with a purpose. Who I am is embedded in the spirit of me that shows up in the things that I do and the people that I connect with. But what I do is transformation, and I take ideas and bring them to fruition. I have lots of gifts. And I don't say that boastfully. I say that from the perspective as I now understand that I have multiple gifts, right? I'm a writer. I have been a writer since I was about 9. Never thought it was a gift, though. I thought everybody could write. It never occurred to me that everybody could not
Yeah,
until
me
I learned that everybody could not. I was going, why you say like that? Wait, punctuation, and so I realized that most of us take our natural innate gifts for granted. So I'm a writer, a creative. I became an entrepreneur when I turned 50 because I have lost my mind, but I do like solving problems. And that's what this first endeavor is. It's taking a problem and saying, hey, let's come at this with some new options to see what we can bring to fruition to help people address it. So, who I am and what I do are all of those things and more. Gosh, I couldn't even just, put it in like a sweet paragraph, but that gives you a general idea.
so um hmm, the whole I chuckle when you said, not everybody can write. Oh, you were surprised about that. Because I do think that, those of us who are writers kind of really see it as a gift, and in full transparency, folks, I was working on something the other day, and I sent it to Sheilisa for her to edit it, because in my mind, I know that there are days when I can be extremely wordy, especially when I am feeling uncomfortable about putting out a thought. And then there are moments when someone asks me to edit their stuff, I can be extremely succinct with it. But I always think that's the interesting thing, right? And I think that's what really determines the difference between really being a good writer and a poor writer and a good editor, right? Because I also think that people who are good writers aren't always good editors either,
They're not
right?
always good editors,
So
right?
I think the ability for me to have both of those skills, I think is always really great. And I think I trust you in your work because I know for a fact you're both. So thank you for editing my stuff, by the way. Now you've given me the opportunity to go back and like double edit some more stuff in and out.
So
Um,
I didn't want you to do that though, June. What I want you to realize is that because I know you, I heard everything you were saying in June voice, every bit of it. And I was like, now she could talk to me like that because I know who she is. But there's going to be a whole audience of people who have no
I
idea
know,
who June is.
I
And
know.
they have to get her point really clearly so that she doesn't lose them along the journey. But
Yeah.
the whole time I was reading it, I was like, I heard every bit of it in June cadence, in June voice, with June mannerisms. Like I heard it all, and I was like, beautiful. But we can't do this.
No, thank you for that. No. I totally understand that. And yeah, as I was writing it exactly, I was just coming as like who's gonna know who Ally McBeal is? Inside joke, folks. You guys will get that when you see the
Yeah.
blog. But yes, but it made me read what you wrote, the inquiries, and then it's like, okay, great. I can totally definitely, fix that. But I say that to say, as I am a writer, you know that there are times when you get stuck, when you get blocked, or when you get, anxious about whatever, right? So kind of talk to me a little bit about, have you ever had that experience where you are writing something? I remember specifically a project you were working on. I'm not going to say who it is or what it was, but I remember you were having a really, really tough time. And that was like the
Yeah.
first time I've ever seen you sweat, if you will. So maybe you can kind of go back and talk a little bit about what was happening to you then, because I think that was a perfect um, opportunity as to why it is we're having these conversations.
Well, I was suffering from the worst case of writer's block I think I'd ever had. I am used to, as a writer, having periods of ebb and flow, right? Like when things expand and they contract. Or just like you, I can be verbose, right? When I'll start writing and it's verbose, right? Because I'm trying to give you all the nuances and all of the details so that you can get the picture,
Right.
but it's overkill, right? But in this particular project, I was emotionally in a not so great place. So that caused this block. And I would find myself writing the same paragraph for like 12 hours. And yes, it was very stressful for me because I'm used to being able to, let me let this go for a minute. I'm gonna go sit down. I'm gonna go get something to eat. I'm gonna go get some tea. I'm gonna go to sleep and come back to it. But it didn't matter. It was like Groundhog's Day. And now you would have to know what that means to understand that I'm referring to the movie where something happened the exact same way every single day over and over. It just was Groundhog's Day for months. And as a writer, it's probably like our most feared state of being to not be able to communicate, especially when you're doing it for a client, right? Because we
And the
get paid
deadline.
to get a deadline, but we get paid to get somebody else's point across.
Yeah.
Like, so not only are we trying to write and get the message out, we're trying to put it in the tone of their voice so that it sounds like it's coming from them
Right.
and it makes sense and it's cohesive and coherent with whatever else they have written. It's a lot of pressure. And so, yes, fighting through that broke me and then built me. I
Talk to
probably
me about
needed to
that.
have that.
Talk to me
Um,
about that. How did you cope?
well, I told the truth, right? Because for months, I never shared with the client what I was going through. And that's because I'm like, I'm going to fight my way through this. I'm going to fight my way through this. I'm going to sit at the computer for 16 hours. I'm going to sit at the computer for 18 hours. I am barely going to eat and drink. I had horrific dehydration. When I got to the doctor, he was like, I don't even know how you're sitting here because I'm not eating, I'm not drinking. I'm just trying to force my brain to write. And then what's so crazy is that when I finally would get something that I thought was good enough to share, I didn't think it was good enough. And then months later, when I got to read it, I'm like, I wrote that? It was actually really good. Like, that was really good. But at the time, no matter what I put on those pages, it felt like I'm not doing enough. And that had everything to do with my state of mind. So being able to be humbled in that way, because when you realize that you have a gift and it's your natural innate gift and you're taking it for granted, and then it goes away, that's scary. Like, I can't write anymore. Like, that's
Yeah.
part of my what I do identity, right? And so now that something else is being stripped away while I was also being stripped away in another way. And in our humanity, that is difficult to maneuver for anybody. It doesn't even matter what life stage you're in. Having multiple things that you sort of counted on within you being stripped away simultaneously without a replacement of something that buttresses you is debilitating, to say the least. I have to credit my faith not in me, but in the power greater than me, because I'm like, there's no way you leaving me to do this in this way and to be broken because of it. Like, I was like, there must be a lesson in here. There must be a blessing in here. There has to be some purpose to this very difficult period that I'm enduring right now. And, once I told the truth to the client and they were empathetic, right? He had
Okay.
empathy for me. And was like, do you want me to let somebody else do it? No, because I have to finish. If you imagine that you don't finish, forever it's going
Worse.
to be
It's
in your
worse.
craw that you
Yeah.
didn't do it. And so,
Yeah.
no matter what happens, please let me finish. Let me finish so that it is done. It has to be complete. And I was granted that grace, and I was so grateful for it. But I'm really more grateful for the lesson, you
Mm,
know. And then I sort of wish, I'm like, if I'd known about Chat GPT at that time, I probably wouldn't have been in that situation.
really?
Yeah, because I would have had something to help me edit.
I
Like,
know. I
I would have
know, but
had something to give me to shoot
that's
some
a whole nother
ideas that I wasn't
conversation.
thinking
I
about.
know, girl. I know. I do understand, but that whole chat AI thing that's a whole nother conversation for writers and
So
artists because
because I'm a writer, I use it, I think, in the proper context. Like, I don't let it write for me. I let it inspire me. And so could you imagine if you got writer's block and if you could put in there, finish this, stuck on writer's block, you could put all of that in there and then see where it goes. And you'd be like, oh, that could be your
yeah,
aha moment.
yeah.
But I didn't know that tool existed at the time. So it was
That's
just me
funny.
struggling with me.
That's hilarious. So, fast forward, what were some of the things that you felt that you had to do to overcome that?
I had to go back to believing in me. And I think that my belief in me was shook just because I was not in a solid emotional state. I
Okay.
was going through a breakup, and it was long. It was like taking a long time, and it was just overwhelming. And so you sort of lose yourself in some period of time, because I'm still the same me, but now I have to be the same me without this, other energy. And how is that supposed to work? When you pour so much of yourself into it. So I had to go back to basics. Like, Sheilisa, you're a writer and this is what you do. So I just went back and started reading some of the stuff I've written that I was very proud of. That means, let me reinforce to you that this is something that you do. Like, you're not in any way, shape, or form a slouch at this. It doesn't mean that you're better than everybody else. I don't need that. Like some people need to feel like I do this better than you. I don't ever need that because I believe that writing is very subjective, and some people are going to resonate with some writing forms and modalities, and others are going to resonate with others. So I just needed to go
Okay.
back to that point of understanding this is a gift. It's something I do. I innately can do it. I don't even have to think about it twice. And if you tell me, hey, could you help me say da 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 da, you can do it like that. Getting back to and it actually the entire process was getting back to who I am, remembering who I am, because I forgot in this whole time space continuum that was so topsy turvy. So I think that that was the biggest thing, like remembering who I am and what I'm capable of. And if I was able to do it in the past, I could do it again. So I
Correct.
think that's it.
Good for you. I'm happy to hear that. But I felt for you when you were going through that moment. But I totally could resonate with that. So but you're a trooper, you're a warrior, and that's kind of who you are. So talk to me a little bit about how do you start your day? Like what are some of the practices from that moment, right? Because I think that created a real shift for you also in terms of how you're going to move forward, I would think. So, when you were talking about letting go of some stuff, I kind of kept thinking to myself that I was seeing a shedding of sorts, right? So
Yes.
now you've transformed, right? You've been like the caterpillar turning into beginning to turn into the butterfly, the cocoon coming out of the cocoon. So talk to me a little bit about what are now some of the things that you feel you needed to bring into your space of um togetherness to allow you to be whole to move forward.
So I start my day every day on this prayer call with people I've been praying with for probably over 10 years. And that is also a part of what I attribute the strength part to. Like, when you need to be strong in something, there has to be something that you are consistent with that I think is helpful in normalizing something that doesn't feel normal. But what I added to my life, or my practices, was realizing what self-love actually looks like. Um, when you are, you get accolades most of your life for having certain gifts and talents, you be like, of course I'm fabulous. I'm amazing. And you actually realize later, or for me, I'm like, I believe that and still did not understand what self-love meant, still didn't understand what boundaries and honoring boundaries and making others honor boundaries meant. Still did not understand that I don't need to people please in order to be acceptable. And so the amazing transformation of self-love and self-acceptance is what came into my consciousness as a result of this whole experience, the breakup, the largest blocking of everything else that was going on simultaneously. That I just would start looking in the mirror and being like, I love you. Like, I'm so sorry that I wasn't protecting you all this time. I didn't even realize that I wasn't. I didn't realize that it wasn't me and you together. I was leaving you off on your own and you're out here in the world. And I'm saying to you, you're fabulous. You're amazing. You're so pretty. And not believing it in actuality. So that was the biggest transformation. And it actually manifests in a bunch of ways because, people never believe my age, right? And so now I have people who see me, they go, are you aging backwards? And I'm like, it's something about that stress-free life. When you get back to that stress-free life, you go back to looking like you, how you feel on the inside manifests on the outside.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think that that is what people see when they're seeing me now, because I get like so many people from the entrepreneur world were like, oh my God, you were so heavy, you were so intense. And that's true, because I could not be, I'm like, what do I need to be to fit into this space? As opposed to be you. You don't gotta fit in. Sometimes you meant to stand out. And if you got to stand out proudly. You don't need to be a part of any group or crowd. Like, I never even liked that before. And it was so crazy that I realized that I was always trying to fit into something. And I was going, but you never really liked that. Like, June, you know me. And so you know that there are things that I care about, and then there are things I don't give a flying fig Newton about, right? And so I'm like, oh, so they don't, I'm not in that group. Like, sucks to be y'all. Yeah, you might want me in your group, but I be. And so just accepting that too. I'm so much
I am
more at
so very
peace with that.
happy you said that. I am so very happy you said that, because so often we definitely rate ourselves based upon how we think people see us, or
Yep.
based upon how we think we need to be. And the one thing I always tell my daughters, I've learned, and I learned it at a very young age, and I'm really grateful for that. You're either gonna really love me or you're not gonna like me at all. I don't think there's an in between for me. And I know that. And I always tell that to my girls. People are either gonna really like you or they're not gonna like you at all. And they're not even gonna be able to understand why they don't like
Why
you.
they don't like you.
And
Yeah.
so you have to be okay with that. And I think oftentimes a lot of people are not. When you get to that place of matriculation and understanding that self-efficacy is something that you see internally that then shows externally, you don't even have to worry about anything. You don't even have time to worry about anything else. It's just what it is. You go confidently and you walk and you go boldly into the rain of bullets, because that's really what it feels like sometimes when folks are,
Oh, that's
are
what it
at you,
is.
chomping at you. They don't even know why they don't like you. They're just talking some
They
crap. They
don't
don't even
usually
know
even
why.
have a real reason for not liking you. It is your energy. It is your aura.
Absolutely.
It
Spirit
is that, like,
recognizes spirit.
whatever it is you're exuding, it is
They can't
disturbing.
handle that.
Yeah, and
They
and
can't
and then it
handle it.
becomes like a really vicious thing against you, and you're
Yeah,
like, I don't even understand where this energy is coming
exactly.
from.
So it is
But
not your problem. It's their problem. And so I always would say that to you. And I think,
yes,
you would have to like figure that out. But I'm so glad that you are doing exactly what you want to do the way you want to do it. I think that to me is the beauty of who you are as a woman, a brilliant woman, a confident woman, and you need to not be apologetic about that. You need to just walk in that.
well,
And
I,
so
I
it's
am now,
beautiful to
girl.
watch you doing it. So tell me
I am
something.
now.
So now that we're talking about that, um, what is it that you now feel? Is there anything, given the advice that we're talking about, going and being comfortable and confident in who you are, is there anything that you're fearful of?
Anything right now. And you want to know, I say that so confidently now because I really feel like for the last 7, 8 years that since I started this endeavor, it's been in a constant state of fear. Like I felt like I didn't have what people call imposter syndrome. I was very clear that there was a lot that I didn't know. And I was very honest with saying in certain circles, I don't know. Like, I still need to learn these things. And I felt like I didn't know this language and, the vocabulary of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
entrepreneur
yeah.
startup space. And
The
it put me at a
glossary,
disadvantage.
yeah,
Right. I thought those things. But now I'm like, why shouldn't I be able to do this? And why? And obviously, the ideas that I keep coming up with not just have merit and value, but they're going to be beneficial, not to any one particular group, but the masses. And why would I think I was incapable of that? It has everything to do with the fear of being accepted, the fear of people believing you, the fear of people servicing you and supporting you. And because I didn't get that, because I didn't get a whole lot of that over the course, I was forced to learn it on my own. I was forced to
yeah,
figure
yeah,
out things.
yeah,
I was without a doubt forced to support myself. I was forced to fund myself. I was forced to, if I wanted to get it done, it was up to me to get it done.
yeah,
And I'm resourceful, and I was forced to be even more resourceful. So no, I don't have that fear. And I don't have the fear about people who like or dislike me either. I'm like, I don't care if you don't. It sucks to be you if you do. Like, I don't know why you have this problem, but you should go and work it out and talk to somebody, because I know for sure I've never done anything to you. I'm not harmful to people. I'm not mean to people. I'm not a backbiter. I want to see you win. I want to win, but I want to see you win.
Yeah,
And anytime
without a
you get
doubt.
into a circle that people don't want that for you, or they want to
I
sabotage you, or
mean,
they want to say negative
yeah.
things, like, I don't even want to be in your energy because you are low vibration. So do I fear? I
Yeah.
don't fear. And I just have a I don't give a damn attitude. And I know that might be like a little rough, but I'm so there now. And I'm grateful to be here because it's
I'm
a
so glad
much
that you
more
are.
peaceful place.
I'm so listen, like I say to you all the time, protect your peace at all costs. And I do not care about what anybody thinks about that. I live like that. So, for me, it's totally understandable because I feel that, you get to be a certain age and you just go, in the grand scheme of things, it just doesn't matter.
It
I
just
don't have
doesn't matter.
time. I don't have the capacity, right? And so the things that I want to do, and I always say this, I want everybody to win because I think you
Yes.
can. And I think that if I'm in a space where you are not rooting for me as much as I'm rooting for you, I'm gonna know anyway. You're just gonna know. So you no, don't waste your time. Don't bother. That's if I was 25 again, I wish I would have learned that lesson then. Because I think I would have been, I'm gonna say this,
Farther
forgive me, guys,
along.
I would have been a much more badder bitch. And
But you
you know
know
what I
what,
mean? But
yeah, but you
you
know what I know too, June, is that there's more than enough space for all of us to win. So you
absolutely,
understand, like,
absolutely.
everybody thinks like, I don't need to step on you in order to get to that next
What I
rung.
say?
Because there's a wall full of rungs. Figure it
Yeah,
out. Like, grab one that's open. So there's more than enough for everybody to have more than enough. Some people want to take too much. You want to take this person's share and that person's share, and for what? To hoard
what?
it?
Yeah,
Because how
yeah,
is it going to be
yeah,
beneficial if you're just hoarding it?
yeah.
And do
The
you just need all the
intention.
accolades for you? Okay,
Yeah.
well, let them put you up on that pedestal and sing your praises with like palm branches all day if that's what you need. I don't need that. I don't need any of that. If I help you, I don't need no accolades. I don't, and I really don't want you to tell nobody. Like, I really, that's the one thing I really
Hey,
like. If I do something,
totally agree.
I
I
don't need no
agree.
audience, and I don't need no applause. It wasn't done for that. I just want, if I see something and I can do something, I want to do it.
Let
I
me
actually
do
feel
good
like
work.
I don't help enough.
Yeah.
Like, I
Let
always
me
feel
do good
like I
work.
should be doing more.
Yeah. Let me do good work. When you have the capacity, to whom much is given, much is required, right? So, I feel like, so tell me something. So, what do we're talking about entrepreneurship. You have a really interesting business.
Yeah.
So tell the folks about what it is. Because we've been talking about it and, we're all around it. But we get
Um,
we think we're in our living room. You're in my living room, I'm in your place, and we're chatting. But tell the folks what we're
Well,
talking about.
I love the authenticity of this chat because, we do a lot of podcasts when you're an entrepreneur, and you don't always get to be yourself. And one thing the other thing that has come out of all of this, trauma, awakening over these last few years is authenticity. I have to be my authentic self at all times. Otherwise, I don't feel like myself. So what I created was, I was hot and I was tired of being hot. And I believe that women deserve a beautiful way to beat the heat of those miserable hot flashes. So I create jewelry with passive cooling technology to address the discomfort. And I call it Fria. And Fria means cold in Spanish. And it's the integration of like a nanothermal evaporative cooling technology with purity jewelry that's just hydropowered. So using the science of cooling zones, anything that you put on a cooling zone that's colder than you, this is how pretty that bracelet is. Like, anything you put on a cooling zone that's colder than you will cool your whole body down in about a minute and bring you back to equal. So it doesn't make you cold, it just decreases the intensity of the overheating. And nobody knows that your pretty bracelet has that functionality to it. So it's still discreet. It's not gonna be invasive in any way. It's non-medicinal. And yeah, and I was like, this is something that is needed. Like our life stage that we're in right now has enough fraughts and challenges to it.
Absolutely.
We don't
Absolutely.
need anything that's going to bring even more attention to a experience, a biological, normal reproductive experience, but it's one that has a level of embarrassment, or it's a secret or taboo because it's associated with aging. And we know
Right.
we live in an anti-aging society. Don't nobody want to age. Everybody's like, you, I'm still 39. I'm
I
like, okay, I am
know.
celebrating like the
I
20th
know.
anniversary of my 39th birthday, y'all. They was like, started saying it that way. People were like, why are you so crazy? I'm like, because I'm my age, you know.
Well, you know what, girl? I'm gonna be honest with you. I ain't really trying to do that. I mean,
No,
I am
I know.
grateful. I am. I will say this. I am very grateful every single day that I wake up and open my eyes and I'm able to maximize my potential each day, right? Even when I'm not maybe feeling my best. But I think there's really something very, very traumatic about aging in this society. Oh,
Yeah.
how seniors are treated in this society.
Yes.
Everything from just the inability to respect your elders to all of the other things that come with the aging process, right? So, I feel like it has its place. I was literally just talking to somebody who is a senior, an elder, is the matriarch of her family, and she was sharing with me that uh, some of her family members hadn't seen her in 24 years.
Wow.
And I that blew my mind because I was kind of like, what do you mean? And ended up having a whole conversation around it. But the fact that we don't even revere our
We don't.
elders when they are alive, right?
Right.
Or matriarchs or patriarchs. And I feel like there's something very, very troubling to me about this, particularly as Black and brown people, right?
Right.
Um, but I say that to say that I am happy that when entrepreneurs are able to create solutions, right? To me, that's the reason why you start a business.
Right.
There's a problem, and you look to find a solution to that problem for that
Right.
problem. And I feel like in the journey of that, there comes a bunch of different things that you're ambushed with that going in and that you don't even anticipate that you would have to know. But at the end of the day, every day it's like, you're putting out a mini fire. It or
Yep. That's true.
um
Or an entire inferno, like the mini fires.
exactly.
You're grateful for
So
the mini fires. It's the
yeah.
infernos that you
So
are
tell
really
me,
should mind.
we talked about, some of the stuff that you might have challenges is with when you were like being a writer. What's the difference when you feel like now you're an entrepreneur on another journey, right? But you're still having some of those challenges in different ways. How are you now dealing with that, given some of the stuff you now know?
Well, first of all, being a solopreneur or a contractor is dramatically different than building an entire enterprise from scratch. And because I worked for myself as a consultant, a writing consultant for over 20 something years before I started, my startup, thought I was prepared, right? I'm like, well, I know how to bill and I know how to price. And I know, like, you tell me what the project is, you give me what the deadlines, the parameters, what do you need included? And then we'll go back and forth a couple of times, and then I will produce what I have promised, and you will send me a check. But startup world doesn't actually it doesn't work that way. You are actually building brick by brick. Whatever it is, there are proverbial bricks by bricks, and you have to learn everything. You have to learn every aspect of the business. You have to not just know the background of like how you establish a business. How do you create an LLC or a C corp or whatever? What are the tax implications? How do you trademark yourself? How do you protect your IP? There are so many more aspects to building an actual business brand from scratch. Um, but I will say that you do have transferable skills. So, if you had any experience understanding what it was like to sort of work for yourself and be the one who generates your income, you realize when you start a startup, now it's really on you. Like, you're not going to eat if you don't produce. And you may have to get creative with how that works. Because when you're just a consultant, it's a contract. that has like, deadlines and pay dates. It doesn't work like that when you're entrepreneur. We were talking about that at the beginning of our conversation, how things ebb and they flow and they're really great while they're great. And then sometimes, the famine lasts a long time. You definitely have to have grit. So that is one of my favorite words right now. Because, and they say, well, most, new businesses end in less than 5 years or in the first five
Yeah, in
years.
two
I see
years,
that. Oh, yeah, but I see
eighty
that, right?
percent. Yeah, 80% end in about fail within 2 years.
And I see that because you require grit to keep going when there's nothing that says that only your gut says keep going. All of
Correct.
your conditions say this isn't going to work. But if your gut says keep going, I always have trusted my gut my entire since I was
Mm,
little. And so you won't see anything in the natural, maybe in what feels like a long time. But when it pops, or when the universe wants to keep you encouraged, like so, I wrote a book and it's called Sometimes the Underdog Has to Win, right? So in order for the underdog to keep going, you got to get these little wins that keep you,
yeah,
giving you
yeah,
that little wind beneath your wings so that you keep going. And that's actually what happens, or what happened for me in this whole startup journey, is that I would get these little incremental blips on the radar to go, oh, look, this is really good. And this could lead to this, and this could lead to that. And so if you're still in a famine position, those little bitty blips, those little bitty wins will be what carry you if you have the grit.
yeah. It's what you call those magical moments.
Yes.
Mine. So, what gives you goosebumps?
Whenever I achieve something that I didn't know how I was going to do it. So I didn't know. I worked at this endeavor for four over 4 years before we got a patent. And it wasn't until I got the patent that I actually allowed myself to realize that I actually had created something. But in the process of creation that led up to that, I was like, I haven't done anything yet. And people were like, are you crazy? You went from 2 words, you woke up with these 2 words, and now you had this relationship with the world renowned jeweler, and then you actually had a prototype, and then you went to this place, and then you did this. And I considered it nothing until I had something tangible that said, you
It
got
is.
something here.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So
I get it.
those kinds of experiences, or winning something or succeeding in something that I might have failed at like numerous times. And I just kept trying. I'm like, I'm gonna try one more time. I'm gonna try one more time.
Pitching.
And then winning at it. Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of stuff gives me goosebumps. And then just listening to my audience, that my target audience, and hearing their feedback, good and bad, right? Because the bad feedback helps you iterate. The good feedback sort of lifts your spirits, like,
Oh yeah.
okay, I'm doing something
Let you know you're
right.
going on. Yeah,
Yes,
let you know
I'm in
you're
the
going
right
on the path.
direction.
Yeah.
And
Um.
that's what it is.
So is your jewelry? I know that there were some things that you needed
Work on.
um
Hmm.
to reconfigure. Let's just say.
Right.
So where are you with that now?
So we are actually, so now we're about to come out with a whole new, so what we've had on the market thus far, we called our preview collection, right? So, um, and I think that it's terrible that I had this mindset, but I can't negate the fact that I am a founder of color. And I never thought that the market itself would give me a second chance to make a good first impression. But because there were some design flaws in our original um, output, it also taught me how to deal with them. Like, if you have, so excuse me, if you have some kind of flaw or trouble, how do you communicate with your audience so that they don't lose trust? So I believe that every one of my hard learned lessons was purposeful. And now we're working with, additional jewelers. So now we don't have all our eggs in one basket, right?
Good
And we're coming out with new designs that take into account all of the challenges that occurred in the first one so that you can create a better quality product.
product. Yeah.
And so that's where we are. And that process is lengthy too. So it's like, okay, we got to the first crest of the low mountain, and now the next mountain is higher, but we know we're not in the valley. We sort of like on the side. We clawing our way up, and that's the way I feel we are right now. But I
Thing.
see progress from problems. Like, you have a problem, you have to overcome that problem. And
Yeah,
being taught how to do that at this early stage also allows you to be considered and received by your target audience as a brand with integrity.
yeah, yeah. Um, and I can respect that because I think again, that's a part of the whole process of being an entrepreneur. That you put out something and you see how it's received, you see some of the challenges that comes with that actual product. You go back to the drawing board and you redo some things, and in all things just be transparent with what it is. I think that's really what it is. I think I've learned most, when we are doing the work that we're doing, I asked folks to come on and talk to me about their mental challenges, their mental wellness, their mental health issues, right? I cannot ask you to do that if I'm not willing to put my own challenges out there first,
Yes.
right? So I think though that the transparency of that gives you some ability, some credibility, and it gives you the ability to have the courage to not falter in the event that something goes awry on your journey of whatever it is you're producing. Because like, listen, okay, you can fix this. This can be repaired. This can
Yes.
be,
This can be, yes.
fixed. This can be moved on to another level, and you don't have to start from scratch because you've already been there, you've done that, right? So, I think that that's the most exciting thing about it builds muscle for you, right? Gives you gumption.
Yes.
And I think that's the thing that's most exciting about this work. I am not building a piece of jewelry. I'm doing something a little bit different, but I feel like in some cases, these interviews that I've been having with folks have been so very mind blowing, so very transparent and honest, intentionally so, that it makes me go, wow, folks are people are just really great. People are awesome. People are phenomenal who even want to have a conversation with me about this, right?
People
So
are
thank
healing,
you.
June. They are healing. I feel
Yeah,
like this has been a very elongated healing journey. First, you have to realize healing is necessary. Then you need to identify what you need to heal from. And it's not always really obvious. But once you embrace that it's okay that this is maybe you are still triggered by something that happened a long time ago. How do you heal it? Allow yourself to feel it. Let it come up and let it come out. I feel like we live in a constant state of resistance, right? You want to resist these feelings, or you want to resist that trigger or the trouble that came or what comes to mind. You want to resist it so that you think I won't be affected if I don't allow it to come. But I say do the opposite. No resistance, let it come, let yourself feel it, let it completely overwhelm you so that you can let it go. And I say that my mental health journey in creation, in entrepreneurship, in motherhood, in grandmotherhood, in womanhood, everybody has something that has occurred in their life that is a PTSD experience. We don't have to live in it forever. We can say that happened and now I'm this. Now I'm this person. That was me then, but now I'm this evolved person with my jewelry. Like this came out and like we got a design flaw and I was like freaking out, but now I listened to the people I was working with who are phenomenal, especially at the company that was helping us. Like, this is how you deal with these types of challenges so that your audience, so that your market still trusts you. Own it. Own whatever it is. If it's a flaw, if it's a problem, if it's something, a feedback, whatever it is, own it. Because once you have acceptance of it and accountability, that is what takes people go, okay, I can work with you.
Absolutely.
I can give you grace because you're not trying to insinuate I'm the problem. You're owning it. And I think that that's
Absolutely.
what transforms our mental health journey, that allows us to do these amazing things that we didn't think we could do until we tried.
And
So
look
yeah.
at where you are today. It's called respect. It's just simple. It's just called respect. So I respect your time. It is 1:57. We've been just like, but
Flowing.
that's really just great. I mean, to me, that's what makes a really great conversation. Tell people how they can find you.
So they can reach out to our not exactly sure when this is going to air, but our website is www.myfria.com, or check us out on our social handles, which is like at Freya Keep Your Cool on IG, at Freya Keep Your Cool on Facebook. Check us out. I think it's the same on
Okay.
LinkedIn. And so there's so many ways to reach out to
At
us, but
Freya
Freya,
Keep
keep your
Cool.
cool. Yeah, at Freya, keep your cool.
At
Uh,
Freya Keep Your Cool. Okay.
yeah, and that
Um,
way, reach out. I always respond back, or somebody on our team responds
Good.
back. We love hearing from our customers and clients, and just getting the feedback. I am determined to help women have a much better transitional life stage experience, and not just by a product, but through education and community. I think we have an obligation when we have a new endeavor. It can't just be for the money. It has to have some kind of human value or human benefit to that same population that you want to purchase whatever it is. And I believe, I'm a natural educator, so I believe that the educator in me wants you to have knowledge so you can make informed
Oh
decisions,
yeah.
and then community, so you know that you're not in this alone, because what you're doing right here today is letting everybody know you can be creative, artistic, and still not be okay. And it's okay. Like, there's people out
Yeah.
there like
Yeah.
you, and you got a tribe.
Yeah. And I love my tribe. I get I get new tribe members all the time. But the thing that I guess I'm always flabbergasted by is the fact that um we are very, very talented people, capable people. Um, and I want folks to respect that. I want folks to see that. I want folks to honor that. I want folks to get help for that when we
Right.
are not feeling our very best. I want folks to know that there are resources for that.
Yeah.
And I want folks to know that, we're all the same. As much as we think we're different in some places and spaces, we're all the same. So, I don't think this is all about me. I think Art in June, Delicacies of Society, is exactly what it is. You are a delicate flower. We're fragile, but we're also so beautiful, and we are creative, and we are creating beautiful, fabulous, unforgettable things and journeys and experiences for folks. And I want people to respect that and appreciate that and get help for that where they need to, when they need to. So thank you
Yes.
so much for your time.
Thank
I love
you.
you. I love you. I love you.
I love
And
you
I am so
more.
excited for what is to come for you.
I can't wait to see how good it's gonna get. You know how you wake up every day, and I'm like, every day after I say my prayers, I'm like, I can't wait to see how good it's gonna get, because I know that the plans that are above and beyond all I can ask or think. And I'm like, oh, I got big dreams. So if the plans are bigger than that, I can't wait to see them
Well,
manifest.
there's two things that I'll always tell you. And one was all things are working together for our good.
Absolutely.
And the other thing is, you can have your own plans about how you think this is going to be a great thing, but when God shows up and is blessing you, the realization of that is so much more greater than you could ever have imagined in your own mind, as
Yeah.
brilliant as you are. And so one of the things I've really come to embrace is the fact that I am a vessel and a vehicle to make an impact. And the impact that I make, the rippling effect of what that is, only just comes back and blesses you in addition to that. And that for me is the most beautiful thing to watch. I said to you when we were in Indianapolis one time, however many years ago, we were walking down the street, and I said to you, we're going to be on the water having a cocktail.
Yes.
Remember that with an umbrella?
Yes, yes, you
Okay,
did.
so I know that that's happening. I know that that's going to come because it's so it is. So shall it be.
Speaking life into it, you know I always gonna speak life into you. I have loved you since I met you, and God knows it's been so long.
How
You
long
know,
has
just
it
see how
been?
this. Oh my God, over 20 something years, like over 20. I've been in my
Really?
house like
Yeah.
29 years.
Yeah.
It's been like at least
Wow.
25. Your kids
Yeah.
are grown. They were little girls when I first met you.
Yeah.
Um, so I love what you're doing, and I know that you're fabulous, and I love that you get me. I really love that part of you. So you
Deep bows
do
to
this,
you, my
and
friend.
delicacies of society is so June. Okay, like only a June would make a title like that. Only June
I
delicacies
can't
of
really take
like
full credit for that. I was doing some brainstorming stuff with my daughters, and my daughters actually, we started fleshing this stuff out, and I was kind of we going back and forth. But as I started thinking about it, and as I want to make sure that this is an exhibit that folks are able to really kind of fully take it in, because these interviews are going on our website. But
right,
beyond this, now we're getting ready to start curating exhibits at libraries. So people can actually find out about you, but it won't be in a reel. It would be on poster boards and a little write up about who you are. And then people will get to know about my FRIA, and then they're going to go to your site and they're going to come to
yep.
Art in June and they're going to learn more. And so I feel like I wanted to, definitely blow up these emerging artists, these wonderfully creative people, but I want people to really learn more about mental health awareness. So the ability to have a partner as Bergen Newbridge Medical Center who said, you know what, we see what you're doing, we love what you're doing. How can we be a part of this? I was like, right,
Listen, the
great,
door was going to open for you, and
great.
it had to look like all your doors were closed.
Yeah,
But I know that there's no way you can have the amount of talent that you have and it be bottled up and not, let to blossom. And more importantly, like every time when I was hearing your title, I was like, are we in an episode of Bridgerton? Because it just sounds like something that would be in Bridgerton, like
of course.
June.
Listen,
Uh, Species of
you know,
society. We will have a big tea today. Like
delicacy,
that's immediately what I thought of. I'm like, yeah, you gotta have that kind of event. You should do it as like a high tea event, okay?
Grape Poupon,
Yeah, but we
not
should
much,
have
Grape
hats and
Poupon, of course.
fascinators, and we should be talking about delicacies in society and have
Listen, we
delicate
will do
little
that.
little sandwiches and stuff like
We
that. I
will
will
do
help you.
that.
You
Trust.
know I got you.
Listen, 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 hold tight, hold tight. I do want to say this to you. Do you remember like 2 years ago we were doing a Juneteenth thing,
Yes.
right? And so look at how this whole thing has really even developed before I even knew what it was. And so I am really just so grateful for that. But yeah, you gotta bring some class to this. You gotta kind of,
I think it would be phenomenal if you had a high tea Bridgerton theme party, art in June, delicacies of society with art, with tea, with finger sandwiches.
listen,
Like it would be fabulous and
listen,
people would
Linda,
love it.
listen, to be continued. Hold tight. I thank you so much. I love you, and I'll see you on the other side.
Thank you, June. Love you too.